Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking you guys through everything that my 6-month-old eats in a day. He's currently very distracted by the camera. He's trying to breastfeed. This is his first morning breastfeeding session, which usually is around 7:30, and it's one of the better ones of the day. He is very distractible right now, so it can be a challenge to keep him eating for a long enough time. But the morning one is usually pretty good. He does eat on both sides still. I noticed a dip in my supply when I tried to switch to just one side, so we're still doing both, but he's nursing, he's doing baby-led weaning, and he's doing purees. So I'm going to show you guys everything he eats today, and hopefully you can get some meal ideas for your little one, and yeah, we're gonna do it, huh? Yeah, I'll let you finish eating. Okay, so it's about an hour since Rowan did his first nursing session of the day, and this is when we usually give him his first meal of solids. So I'm gonna prepare that right now and show you guys what I do. We do a mix of baby-led weaning, so like finger foods and purees, but this morning I'm actually just gonna do finger foods, and because I'm a millennial mom, I'm basically giving him avocado toast. So I'll show you guys how I prepare the avocado and how I do the toast, and then he'll have his breakfast.
So I always give him whole grain toast because that's usually what we have in the house. We feel like it's probably better for us. And we don't have a toaster, so I actually just toast the bread in the oven. I use the broil setting. I did actually move the rack up a little bit higher so it would work a bit better. Then I cut the avocado in half and I slice the half into finger-sized pieces. So that's the whole thing with baby-led weaning, is that you want them to be about 4 inches long in the width of your finger because it's easy for the baby to grab and hold. Then I cut the crust with all of the seeds and grains off of the bread and I slice it into 4 strips, again, so they're kind of finger-sized. You can see this is what they look like when they're all done. And this is the portion of food that I give him. He obviously doesn't eat all of this because it gets messy and some of it gets thrown on the floor and on the high chair, so I always make more than I think he's actually going to need to eat. I also get him a little cup of water because we're working on learning how to drink out of an open cup. These silicone bibs with the pockets are absolute lifesavers if you're doing baby-led weaning. I like to just arrange all of the food on the tray in front of him so that there's a couple inches in between each item so that if he just wants to grab one thing, it's easier for him to navigate. And I kind of just let him have at it. It's really cool to see his motor skills develop as he does this more and more, to be able to pick it up and get it in his mouth and break pieces off of it and chew and swallow. It's just really nuts considering that, you know, a few months ago he couldn't even reach out for something. I periodically offer him water, and if he takes it, then great, and if he doesn't, I don't force him to, but I like to hold it out for him every so often so that if he's feeling thirsty, he can grab the cup and I help him drink from it a little bit. Avocado in particular is a little bit tricky because it's very slippery, so after I've kind of let him have his fun with self-feeding, I will help him a little bit. If I feel like he needs it and he's obviously still hungry, I'll hold some out for him to kind of suck off of the peel. But for the most part, he just grabs it and eats it himself. Here I am offering him the water again. This time he actually did take it. Sometimes he'll grab it with his hand. I keep my hand on it too so he doesn't just spill it all over himself, but the poor thing always gets it down the wrong pipe. He's definitely still working on figuring out how to kind of slurp it up and swallow it, but it's good practice for him. Hi, buddy.
So this is the aftermath of our morning baby-led weaning. As you can tell, it is very messy. And sometimes it's a mental struggle for me to just let him get messy and not intervene, but it's so important for his development. So now we're just gonna clean you up, huh? Did you like your breakfast? Was it yummy? Yeah.
So our cleanup process kind of goes like this. First, I wipe off his hands with a baby wipe, and then before he can put his hands on the dirty tray, I lift up the whole placemat. I got these placemats from Yeah Baby Goods, and they make cleanup so easy. I'll link them below. If you have the IKEA high chair, I highly recommend them. Then I just wipe down anything that's left on the high chair, wipe off his face, take off his bib, and up he goes. There is usually some stuff on the cushion cover of the high chair as well, and instead of throwing it in the washing machine every single time, sometimes I just take it off and hand wash it in the sink. We do have 2 of these, so I can leave it to dry until the next morning, so he kind of has like his morning cushion cover and his night cushion cover, and then obviously occasionally we do machine wash them. And if his clothing got dirty, I will rinse out his outfit and put him in new clothes so he's nice and clean.
Oh, big burp. Okay, so we're on our second nursing session of the day. It's about 10:30 right now, so it's been 3 hours since his last breastfeeding session. He did have his solids, and it hasn't been that long since he had his solids, probably like an hour to an hour and a half. But because he's about to go down for a nap, and usually naps for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I like to feed him before that so that it's not like 4.5 or 5 hours in between breastfeeding sessions. So this one usually isn't too long. Just feed him until he decides he's done, and then put him down for his nap, and it's the whole deal. He's very sleepy right now, so sometimes this feeding can be a little bit of a struggle because he wants to fall asleep. He's always the sleepiest at the end of his morning wake window, but he's at the age now where we're transitioning him to 2 naps a day, and in order to be able to do that, we have to stretch the wake window. So it's just after 12:30, and we're doing our 3rd nursing session of the day. It's only been 2 hours since his last nursing session, but instead of trying to stick to a schedule, I just watched for his hunger cues, and as you probably just saw, he was pretty fussy. Seemed like he wanted to eat, so I'm nursing him now. I also do have the luxury of being able to comfort nurse him because I'm home with him all the time, and it's an easy way for me to comfort him. And I try to make sure that I get as many calories in him during the day as I can so that he sleeps through the night. So once I put him down tonight at 7:30, he won't wake up until 7:30 the next morning. I don't feed him in the night at all. And since he's only doing 2 solid food meals per day, I try to make sure I nurse him pretty frequently. Sorry, I'm like all backlit. So since Mr. Rowan is teething, I put a few little broken up pieces of frozen breast milk in this forage feeder that I got from Moth and Fawn. And you can put all kinds of stuff in these. You can do like fruits and vegetables, but I am just gonna give him some frozen breast milk. Hopefully soothe his little gums a bit. Highly recommend a bib if you do this. Okay, so it is Rowan's dinner time now, so I'm about to make him dinner. I'm gonna do a puree to start with for him, and I wanted to mention that I do a few different foods on his plate, or I combine a few different foods only because we introduced all of those foods individually first and know that they're safe. But what we did, what our pediatrician recommended, was to introduce one food every 3 days. That way we could monitor if he had a reaction to anything, we would know what it was. So these are all foods that I already know are safe, which is the reason that I'm like mixing them, even though he's not even 7 months old yet. So what I'm gonna do for like his main dinner is green bean puree which I made myself. I just steamed green beans and blended them up with some water and then froze them. So I just take out the little ice cubes and I defrost them in the microwave. And I'm gonna mix that with some baby single grain rice cereal. That's also something that our pediatrician warned us about, that you should only give your baby rice cereal a couple times a week because rice can have low levels of arsenic in it. So we try to only use the rice a couple times a week, but sometimes I'll mix with oatmeal or, you know, whatever. So I'm gonna do that, and then after I'm going to give him some raspberries cut up for like finger food so that he can have a little bit more practice for that hand to mouth. So that's what I'm gonna make right now. We go through these pretty fast, but it's really nice to just have them in the freezer so that I don't have to worry about making fresh baby food every single week.
So how I do the purees is I just pop the frozen cubes into a microwave safe bowl and I use the defrost setting. Once that's defrosted, I put it into his bowl. I obviously make sure that it's not hot. I kind of just go for room temperature, and then I pour the appropriate amount of rice in and I mix it up until it's kind of a pasty consistency. I also grabbed him some water and the raspberries that I was talking about earlier. And you can cut these up to the appropriate size, or you can put them in this little forage feeder, kind of a safety preference. So when I spoon feed Rowan purees, what I like to do is preload the spoon and then just hand it to him. That way, even when he's just eating a puree, he's still getting that hand-eye coordination practice. This does get very messy and he doesn't always get all of it off the spoon. So when he's kind of gotten a chunk of it, I'll gently take the spoon away, refill it, and then give it to him again. And he really likes being involved in the eating process like this. I think it's more fun and interesting for him, and he ends up eating more when I let him have a hand in the process because he doesn't get bored and fussy. Sometimes I'll feed him bites myself, but I mostly try to just let him grab the spoon and feed himself. Again, you can also see him offering the water periodically just in case he wants it, and sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. So I gave him raspberries both ways this night just to show you guys what that looked like. So this is the forage feeder with the raspberries in it. If you do go this route, the baby will mostly get juice. They don't really get like a whole lot of the food, but it's good to introduce them to the flavors. It's also really cute when he drops it, because while I pick it up and go to clean it off, he like understands that he's dropped it and lost it and then it's underneath him. So he'll like look around for it and look in his bib, and it's so sweet to try to see him problem solve. If you prefer to do the cut up raspberries, obviously be careful because it's a choking hazard. I did take infant CPR just to be extra safe. But when the pieces are this small, Rowan doesn't have an issue. You can see he's working on his pincer grasp. So when he kind of grabs it with his whole fist and tries to put it in his mouth, he's not super successful. So he'll try again and he'll try to just pick it up with his thumb and his forefinger, and then he's actually able to eat some. Practice makes perfect. So again, I kind of just let him be and let him make the mess he's gonna make and help him when he needs help. All about learning and practice at this stage. There's not too much pressure to get that nutritional value because you are still, you know, mostly breastfeeding, and that's where they're getting most of their nutrients, but it's fun for them to experience new flavors and textures for sure. Then we go about the whole cleanup process all over again. It's the same thing as I showed you last time. Not too hard, especially if you have the placemat.
Now it's Mr. Rowan's bedtime, so we'll do our whole bedtime routine. I definitely want to do an updated bedtime routine video pretty soon, but basically I do like a bath, a little lotion massage, a book, and then I nurse him one more time. So I will nurse him one more time before he goes down to sleep, and then he goes to bed and he'll wake up in the morning and start by nursing and do it all over again. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it helpful. If you were kind of wondering what mixing baby-led weaning and purees looks like, hopefully this gave you a good idea. Please let me know if you want any other like baby feeding related videos soon. Until then, I love you guys lots. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.